Israel's new government is moving forward on a new series of measures designed to crack down on Palestinian terror, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying the coalition will move quickly to pass a law revoking the citizenship or residency status of Israeli Arabs or Palestinians who are jailed for terror acts and receive monetary compensation from the Palestinian Authority in what's been dubbed their pay-for-slay policy. Last week, the Knesset approved a preliminary bill on the issue. This after the Israeli Arab citizen Karim Yunus was released following 40 years in prison for taking part in the terror murder of Corporal Avraham Bromberg in 1980. And he then received a hero's welcome in his hometown of Wadi Ara in northern Israel. Here's Prime Minister Netanyahu addressing the topic at today's cabinet meeting in Jerusalem.
We will also open a discussion on the draft legislation to revoke the citizenship and the residency of terrorists who have received payments from the Palestinian Authority for their murderous actions against Israeli citizens. It cannot be that terrorists will continue to receive funds from Israeli citizens' tax payments and enjoy the additional benefits that citizenship confers on them. We will begin the discussion.
And joining us in studio now is Ali Wakid, head of I-24 News' Arabic channel. And joining us from the town of Rosh Ayin is Reserves Brigadier General Yosef Kuperwasser. He's the former head of the research division of the IDF's military intelligence branch. Ali, I want to start with you. The reaction this is getting, especially in Israel's Israeli Arab community, would be the first time that their citizenship could actually be revoked if they take place in terror-related acts and receive these funds from the Palestinian Authority.
Well, Calev, this is not new. For dozens of years, Palestinians and also Israeli Arabs who carried out attacks against Israelis or against the state of Israel and were in jail, they were receiving since day one in their prison time this payment from the Palestinian Authority. The PLO consider itself not only the representatives of the Palestinians in the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip and in the Palestinian diaspora. They consider themselves as the representatives of all Palestinians, no matter where they are, including the Arab Israelis, as the Palestinians define Arab Israelis as part of the Palestinian people. Those Arab Israelis who carried out these terror attacks against Israelis carried these attacks also from their point of view as part of the Palestinian people. This is why the Palestinians see that this is immoral to fund or to pay these payments to the Palestinians in the diaspora inside the West Bank and Gaza, and to exclude the Palestinian in the state of Israel. Now, I understand that this is a very uncomfortable situation for the state, but also for many Arab Israelis when this issue of loyalty of the Arab Israelis is on the table and discussed now by the government, by many right-wing political parties, to see an Arab Israeli is receiving payment like a kind of compensation from the Palestinian Authority because he killed an Israeli. This is correct, and then I think this should be discussed immediately. The Arab Israelis would say, what about Israeli terrorists who are not Arab and who killed Israelis, who killed Palestinians? By the way, do you know, Calev, that the Israeli National Insurance pay every month the payment for every prisoner in Israel, even prisoner who killed another Israeli, not for a political reason, the murder gangs that killed themselves, they receive as prisoners some payment of the state of Israel to allow them to have a normal, kind of normal life in jail.
Right. Well, let me ask you to respond to that. He was saying there is some logic behind this, but the way it's being framed only applies to Arab terrorists. It's not worded in a way that it could include Jews who, and there are Israeli Jews who have committed terror acts themselves and are not. It doesn't include them.
First of all, thank you for having me. Secondly, I want to emphasize the payments are being made for people who carry out terror attacks, only for those who carry out terror attacks. If somebody is committing some other kind of crime, including murder, they wouldn't get this money, and because according to the law of the Palestinian Authority, adopted in 2004, the payments are to those arrested in Israeli jails because they committed terror attacks, and they consider them as the fighting sector of the Palestinian society. And this includes those Israeli Arabs that carry out terror attacks. And we have to understand it's not something against the backdrop of the issue of loyalty. You can have Arabs who are not loyal to Israel in some way, but do not carry out terror attacks. Nobody mentions revoking their citizenship. It's about people who actually carried out terror attacks and got money for that, just because they carried out these terror attacks by the Palestinian Authority. These are the people who are going to be an issue under this new legislation if it passes in the Knesset. And we have to understand the Palestinian Authority is actually encouraging people, soliciting terrorism by telling them that if they carry out terror attacks, they are going to be paid, and they are going to be paid extremely good salaries. That's what they promised them in advance. So this is something that cannot be accepted, and the people who carry out terror attacks and get paid by the Palestinian Authority cannot remain citizens of Israel. That's what the law is trying to achieve.
But Yossi, what about those Israeli Jews who commit murder for political purposes? They have some of them. It's not a big number for sure, but some have been convicted of terror offenses. Should they not also have their citizenship revoked?
No, that's the point is that these people first they should be heavily punished and deplored and whatever, but it's not a matter of their citizenship because they didn't work and carry out their attacks on behalf of a foreign entity against the state of Israel. They did something terrible, but not against the state of Israel. And although in fact it is against the state of Israel, but it's not intended to be against the state of Israel. So this is a different story, and they should be punished heavily. That's
hold on. I want to give Ali a chance to respond.
Close advisors or to Chairman Abbas, they say that we would like to get rid of these payments that embarrass the Palestinian Authority and present the Palestinians in a very immoral way, like they are, as Yossi said, they are encouraging people to carry out terror attacks. Right. Now, it is true that, and it is clear, I think, that Mr. Abbas is against terror. By the way, he is criticized by the Palestinians that from the very beginning he gave up the tool of terror as part of the game with the Israelis. But Mr. Abbas is trapped in between the Israelis and the Palestinians. The Israelis don't give him any support to emphasize his non-violent politics, and on the other hand, the Palestinians see you want to cut, because he tried for 1 month to cut these payments, and the Palestinian street reacted very much. We should understand we are now talking about around 5,000 prisoners who are now in the Israeli jails. According to numbers, there are almost 1 million Palestinians who since 1967 were arrested in Israel. So we are talking about an issue that concerns almost every Palestinian family. It is different that an Arab Israeli is an Arab Israeli. And as Yossi said, if you are receiving funds from a foreigner entity, this is a major problem.
All right, Ali Wakad, thank you for joining us.